I remember just before his accident, he took me to the Marne Raceway, and we went around the S-curve in Grand Rapids, and we were clipping right along, and I'm sort of hanging on, and we made it to the raceway, and I said to him, David, I said, make sure your heart's right with the Lord. I says, because you're gonna die in this car if you keep up like this. And 3 weeks later, I got the call.
I don't know where it comes from, because why have this urge to go fast? I always have. It's just an inner hormone-like thing where you guys gotta go fast, fast. Yeah, at the end of those commercials when they're saying this was done by a professional driver on a closed course, I always thought I was a really professional driver, but I was never on the closed course. Instead, I was rolling end over end through a hayfield. I think I was just in a car just screwing around going too fast, and the passenger side wheels went into the ditch, sucked me in. I went into a fresh alfalfa field, and it shot me out, and I flipped front end over back end 5 times, and I was airborne. I hit the ground 5 times within 1/8 of a mile. So you do the math.
One of the guys that I've worked with in the past is Dave Tubergen. He's a young guy that had a pretty significant injury following a multiple rollover accident, and his injury was severe enough that he needed to be airlifted to a hospital.
It was his best friend who called me, and he said, they're airlifting David. I said, is he dead? And Paulie said, I don't think so, but they're airlifting him now. I remember when he was first injured, and they allowed me to put music in his room. I'd put Norah Jones on. I loved Norah Jones.
I waited till I saw the sun. I don't know why I didn't come.
And it's the most beautiful song, and if you listen to it, it's almost like a mother's prayer to a kid to come back.
I'm sure most parents have said it's not you usually, it's the other drivers. And boy, is that a true statement. And a lot of times I was that other driver that people had to watch out for. I had a speaker box come from the back of my car, and when the speaker box, I had the back seats folded down. When the speaker box came, it put a hole probably about this big in my head, and they had to wait like 2 years for much bone to your bone kind of forms layer over layer, and I had a hole, and they wanted to see how much of that hole would close up before they went and put a plate in. And so they just put a piece of titanium and ABS plastic in my head a couple months ago. So
I think the most difficult thing would be having them gain an awareness of their deficits and how it's going to tie into their former lives and whether or not they can resume some of the roles that they had previously.
I had to learn how to walk, swallow, tie my shoes. My grandmother showed me how to tie my shoes.
And sometimes I get a little miffed because I'll say to David, now that he's with us again and can really understand what I say to him, I say, do you remember? Do you remember crawling on the floor or trying to drop a ball and you couldn't even make your hand grab the ball? I said, you remember all that? No. I said, you remember anything out of the hospital? No. And I thought, well, I do. And your father does. And your sisters and your grandparents. So it was hard.
Now I can really drive slow, and it's okay with me. If somebody has to pass me, I can just let them go. I don't have any more of that. I need to get there now for no real reason, drive like I used to.
I think he had his epiphany, and I think he realizes that he can die.